Dun dun dun.
We're live.
We are live.
Hang on. I got something for this. Sorry.
All right, let's kick this thing off, baby.
Nice. Got a lot of folks in here.
All right. Well, Matt, you want to do the honors? You want me to? How are we kicking this thing off?
Oh yeah. All right. We're going straight into it. Love it. Yeah. So hey everybody, welcome to our real life content AI workflows Directus MCP event. My name is Matt. Bryant is sitting in the co-pilot chair. I guess you're more of the pilot because you're controlling really everything. I'm just kind of sitting here. But yeah, great to see everybody. You might be seeing a couple people drop in where they're from. That's kind of the classic session workshop standby to open things. So cool to see like international representation in there. Cool. You want to kick things off, Brian?
Yeah. So, over the last, I don't know, it's been 6 weeks at this point. We've been working on this MCP. This is the launch event for that. But as we kick things off, definitely let us know in the chat who you are, where you're from, what you're building. We've got like a few short slides we're going to dive into, and then we will showcase these actual workflows that you can take and use right away. So I'm super excited for that. I'm sure we'll forget something along the way, but we'll have some fun with this. And the whole goal here is to, again, give you value that you could put to use right away, right after this call. So, Matt, with that,
yeah,
party, man.
Let's roll. All right. Well, like I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, where you're from. My name is Matt. I'm obviously from Directus. I'm on the marketing team here, so I head up a lot of the content initiatives and that sort of thing. So primarily the non-technical, non-doc stuff that you'll find on our blog and our case studies and all that stuff. So I figured it would make sense for me to kind of kick this off because content is near and dear to my heart. I've been doing it my entire career, and I know the pains and struggles of it throughout my entire career too. So just on the agenda today, just so you know what we're going to cover, we did the introduction, so checkbox there. Hopefully you know who we are by now. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the bigger problem of what the MCP actually solves and kind of how we're thinking about AI, generally speaking there. Collaboration, beyond just the content. So this is a very like small microcosm use case. So I just want to set the scene correctly so you understand like what the MCP is, what it can actually solve for your business or your clients. And then we'll hop into the live demo. So I'll get all the boring stuff out of the way first with the story, typical marketer. And then we'll hop into like kind of a Q&A. So to kick things off, when I think about content, I always think of the hours I lose on kind of the stupid mundane tasks. And I saw a stat that content teams only spend about 45% of their time on real value generating work for the business, right? The rest, that remaining 55%, is consumed by the operational administrative tasks and that sort of thing. That's how much time the average content team spends on work that isn't actually creating content, right? It's like copy and pasting from Google Docs, fixing broken formatting, building page structures manually, tagging assets one by one, and then losing all the assets. 55% of your team's creative energy goes to busy work. Imagine if they spent that time creating, not copy and pasting. Trust me when I say that I've tried like every AI out there, from Cursor to Jasper in the early days to Claude to Perplexity now. You name it, I've tried it. Most AI tools out there today will help you write a better headline or generate some copy. And that's useful, right? That's good, but it's not really transformative. You still have to move that content. You still got to format it. You still got to publish it. You still got to manage it. That's the 55% we're talking about. So what we built with this MCP is different. It's not just another GPT wrapper. Instead of AI that suggests what the headline or what the content should be, we decided to build this MCP to connect it with your CMS and handle all of that busy work as well. So yeah, in the next 45 minutes, you're going to see content move from Google Docs to a live site without touching copy paste. AI built landing pages through conversation, analyze and organize image libraries automatically. And I just want to stress, like, this isn't a prototype or a concept. Like, it exists right now, and you're going to get access to it after this. So, yeah, it's the Directus MCP. We're excited to give everybody access to it. We just got to get through kind of the live demo just to show you how it works first. Brian, if you can scroll up just a few to the...
This one?
Yeah, perfect.
Down. Okay.
Like I said, before we dive in, I just want to zoom out for... So what you're about to see with the content team is really just the beginning, right? Like all of those mundane tasks, that 55% that is lost. Content is just a perfect microcosm where AI is heading across every function. It's the same problems that content teams face. I know firsthand. That really everybody faces, right? It's disconnected tools, work. It's the AI that suggests but doesn't execute. And it's happening everywhere. I think we got a few sales folks on here too. Sales teams are copying new data from forms into their CRM, then into email tools, and then into reporting dashboards. It's the same data. You got developers, I think most of you, writing the same CRUD operations, right? Like building the same admin interfaces, creating the same API endpoints, handling the same data validation logic on every single project, and then maintaining it all separately. And then you got leaders that are asking, like, what's the status from their teams, and getting different answers because everyone's working in different systems that don't really talk to each other. So all of that to say, content teams aren't unique in these struggles. They're just the clearest example of a universal problem. And what you're about to see really is a glimpse of how that whole disconnect can be solved, not just for content teams, but context made sense. So zooming in again. So most AI tools you probably know today are like having a really smart intern or a really dumb intern, depending on how you use it, who could only give advice. Like, here's what you should do. But then you still have to actually go and do it. The real revolution here, and I hate the term revolution, I guess evolution, is that AI that actually does the work, right? AI that connects to your systems, understands your processes, and executes within your business rules. You've probably heard about AI agents, right? If you have, this sounds pretty familiar territory to you. If you haven't, it's basically autonomous AI that can plan and execute complex tasks across multiple systems. Like that's exactly where the industry, every industry, all business is heading. But here's what most people miss is that agents actually need infrastructure to work. They need secure access to the data. They need permission systems. They need to understand your business rules. And they need APIs that actually connect to your workflows. Most companies are trying to build agents on top of disconnected systems. And that's like building a highway with no on-ramps. What we're going to show you today, the MCP, connecting AI to your content workflows, this is really the foundation for what makes AI agents possible. You can't have intelligent automation without intelligent infrastructure. And I just want to caveat this first by saying, like, we're not at all advocating to replace humans. I think one of our competitors came out yesterday and was talking about like automating 10% of the US labor force. Like, it's kind of messed up. I don't want to talk about that. I hate when people talk about AI taking people's jobs. That's not what the focus is. The focus is really creating a true collaboration between your team and the AI so they can be better and 10x their output. You bring the strategy, creativity, and judgment, and let the AI handle all the execution and consistency and scale. So when that collaboration works, you don't really just get productivity gains. You get entirely new capabilities, right? Takes your business to the next level. Everybody wants to be valuable to the business, and this is the clearest way. Cutting out that mundane work and focusing on strategy and creativity. I probably sound like I'm 2X right now. I think somebody mentioned with my talking, but yeah. All right. So to wrap it up, just this concept of the collaboration layer is this is what's stopping most things now. Companies build AI features inside of existing tools, and we think the future really is like kind of the infrastructure outside of it. It's the collaboration layer that sits between AI and all your business systems. That's what this MCP is. Like you've got your presentation layer, your front end, your websites, your apps on top, and you've got kind of the bottom foundational thing, database, backend systems. But what's missing is this middle layer, the collaboration layer. It's kind of the connective tissue that lets AI work with your CMS and your database and your workflows and your team processes all through one interface. That's what Directus is sort of becoming. It's not just a CMS with AI features. It's a collaboration layer that lets AI work with your tech stack. Content management really is just a first use case, and a lot of people use it for that, and it's really good at that. And the architecture we're building, I think, works for any workflow, any team, any business process. So I just want to emphasize, like, this is a small glimpse into what's possible when you start using this MCP. And I think, it's massive and hopefully like you leave this with some ideas of like, this is applicable for a lot of different use cases and for my clients and business and that sort of thing. Cool. That's the future. So I'll stop talking, get all the business stuff out of the way. Bryant, I'd love for you to take over and actually show the fine folks how it works.
show the people. No, hey, perfectly said, man. Again, like, to me, the promise of AI is not about taking jobs or automating 10% of the labor force, right? It's automating the stuff that sucks, like the headaches, the stresses, all of that stuff. All right. So before we dive in, let's just cover like a couple of MCP concepts. Just like, I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with this, but for those who are not super familiar or haven't dove into the deep end on this, MCP is just a standard that is becoming widely adopted or is already widely adopted for helping AI tools communicate with your different applications and services that you use, like Directus. So Model Context Protocol, and that's the long form, basically just sits in the middle and it standardizes the way you communicate with LLMs from all the different services. We won't go into the nitty gritty on that. That's not why you're here. So what is the Directus Content MCP and why is it the Content MCP? So this release is mostly focused on working with your existing data inside your Directus instance. So a lot of it is centered around content, like the tools can be used to publish blog posts, fix links, build landing pages, organize assets, update menus, and I'm sure you'll come up with 1,000 other use cases for this after this call. But it does not include potentially destructive things like deleting tables or collections from Directus. Potentially looking at that in future releases, but mostly we want to give you the tools to work with your existing data and not potentially blow up your Directus instance. All right, cool. Everybody still with me? All right, so how do we get access to this thing? How do you work with it? Depends on the LLM or the AI tools that you're using. There are 3 ones that are pretty popular right now. Raycast is kind of a command bar tool that you can see here on my screen. But for this demo, we're going to be using Claude Desktop. It is the best one that I've found for these content workflows. So we've got documentation, we've got all of that you can take a look at after this, but let's just take a look at how you install this thing and work with it. All right, so the first thing that you'll need to download Claude Desktop if you don't already have this. ChatGPT does not have MCP support yet, but some of their APIs do. So download this, and then there is a configuration that you'll need to do. So we'll open up Claude, we'll go to the settings. You'll see something like this. You click over to the developer tab, and then you're going to click this edit config. Now, For any non-developers here, this might look scary, but let me just comment out my token here. We're just going to pop in some JSON config. The two pieces that we really need here are the Directus URL and a Directus token, which you can grab from your Directus instance. If you don't have a Directus instance, would love for you to try us out on Directus Cloud, or we'll give you the resources that you need to set up a self-hosted instance of this exact setup at the end of this thing. So this is just the command to connect to the Directus MCP server. Right now, this uses the standard IO format. So if you do any research on MCP, you'll see that there's a lot of confusion on security and privacy, and there's a lot of different attacks. Right now, this runs the MCP server locally on your computer. So we circumvent a lot of those things. And one of the beautiful things is this respects all the permissions that you have inside Directus. All right, so on to the fun stuff. And I'm sure Matt, I think did you mute yourself, Matt? Yeah, probably so. Yeah. Anyway, this is this is a workflow that you know well, right, my friend? Publishing content. And just about every content workflow, right? This is how it ends up. So you know that all roads start and intersect through Google Docs at some point. We've got articles that we want to publish here, the suggest, edit, all that functionality that's built into Google Docs makes this, hey, it's just an easy tool, right? And Directus is about working with the tools that you've got, and instead of trying to force you into editing your blog posts or content outside of that. So the first workflow that we're going to take a look at is how to get this blog post that we've got into our Directus CMS. All right, so here's our blog post. The standard format looks like this. We go in, we open up a new blog post, and then I'm immediately greeted by a lot of different fields that I have to fill out to make sure this gets published correctly. And then you play this game where we copy paste into the rich text editor, and you'll see that Google Docs has all this formatting and all this extra stuff that I'm now going to have to go through and account for. This is going to eat up a lot of time. Not only that, like our SEO meta descriptions, the short summaries, the content writer left all that out of the Google Doc conveniently. So now I've got to go in and write 160 characters that make this make sense in a search pane. Let's just make that workflow a lot easier though, right? So we are going to go into Claude. Once you've got that Directus MCP server connected, you'll see the available tools here, and we'll explain some of these as we go through. But I'm just going to add this article from Google Docs. So this is a built-in integration, and we're going to say, hey, please, always say please, add this article as a draft post inside Directus. All right, so once I do that, what is going to happen behind the scenes, right? This MCP server is going to connect to my Directus instance. And you can see Claude here is calling the system prompt that we've got set up for it, which is basically some instructions of how to interact with the CMS. It is going to pick up the exact schema from my Directus instance. So this is understanding all of the individual fields that I've got set up inside my Directus instance, the data model, all of that, so that the LLM has the proper context to do this job for me. So now you can see it's figuring out there's a post collection. It has automatically written a description for this piece of content, and you can see it's currently in the process of taking all of that ugly Google Docs formatting and just doing standard HTML elements that are going to look on brand, look amazing inside our website. So this has finished this workflow. I can just click on that, or if I refresh over here inside Directus, now we can see we've got our blog post, right? And I can show this in the live preview here. I can also open this up in our visual editor. So this is that collaboration that we're talking about where AI gets me most of the way, and then I can go in and tweak things here, like visually inside Directus, or through the forms-based approach, right? Now, the next workflow that I want to show you guys, right? This is pretty impressive. Feels like we're getting closer to the promise of AI. But I want to talk about assets for a moment. So this blog post needs a featured image, right? And any content editor, any CMS user has always been, is 100% been through this pain of a file library that looks like this: image.png, image 0001, random UUIDs, right? So let's just take a look. I'm going to go to Unsplash, and I'm just going to download some random images here. So this is a sunset. Great. There's a penguin. I'm not sure if John from our team is on this. I know he's a big fan of penguins. And we'll just grab one more image, right? So also going to showcase the ability to just import from a URL inside Directus, but I'm also just going to drop these images that we've got. We've got them here. Cool. We've got these images, but no metadata. Like if someone is looking for an image of a penguin inside our CMS, so if I just go to my file library and I search penguin, oh, it looks like I've got a penguin already in here. But I digress, right? This is a problem with every CMS. Now, what I can do with this MCP is automatically organize these assets. And I can't overstate how huge this is, just as a person who has a ton of unorganized assets in the CMS. All right, so two capabilities we're going to showcase here: the ability to load prompts inside something like Claude Desktop. So I've got this prompt where it is organize images, and I'm going to tell it to organize all the images in the needs organized folder. All right, so I'm going to add this prompt. Where does this come from? What is happening behind the scenes, right? So inside Directus, we've got just a AI prompts collection, and I could store these to allow all the users of this MCP server or anybody who has access to it to recall these prompts and build really robust workflows that are super easy to use. So basically, it's just taken this, it's added some of the context. These are instructions we're going to use over and over again. I'm going to send this, and the Directus Content MCP server should go about organizing these assets for us. So it is going to look for a folder that has needs organized. Then it will read all the files within the folder. And one of the tools that we have available is the ability to read the raw image content. So it's actually looking at the binary image data using the vision tools inside Claude and actually analyzing that image. And it's letting us know, yes, hey, I've analyzed all three of these images. Let me update these for you. The king penguin portrait, great. And we can see it has the title, it has the description, it has the tags. And one of the other nice things, especially for a front end, Directus has support for focal points. So whenever an image gets cropped or transformed dynamically, we want to make sure that the subject, the focus stays in frame. All right, so we can see here that Directus has organized all these assets for us, and now we are able to search these and use these in our blog posts and our workflows. All right, next one. It's hard doing this with with nobody else on the line here, but maybe we cue that laugh track at some point. But next on the list, right? Building landing pages. And I say this a lot if you've ever caught any of my YouTube videos. One of my favorite features of Directus is the ability to build dynamic pages using blocks. So if you're a developer, you could set up different blocks for marketers, for content editors, and they can dynamically build pages based on those blocks. With the recent visual editor release, I can control these blocks dynamically, edit them right in line. Huge. But scaffolding out these blocks is still fairly tedious, right? It is a lot of forms to fill out, and just a lot of back and forth to get to something where I can tweak to what I need it to be. So I'm just going to start a new chat here, and let's do something more complex, right? So we're going to build a landing page, and I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't prepare for this one. I haven't had time to actually run this prompt through the system. It is one I created right before this thing. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it has fun. But just a co-star prompt that says, okay, here's how I want you to structure the landing page, what goes into it. And I am going to call this from the Claude desktop. So we've got create landing page. And we're going to do this for Directus CMS. So Directus CMS, desired action. We want someone to sign up for a cloud trial. The value proposition, a better CMS, headless, not brainless. That's my key value proposition. Who is our audience, right? We want technical marketers and developers. Ship faster is the specific pain point that we're solving. The specific solution and outcome is better workflow. If I can actually spell, less stress, cost, time to implement, migration. All right, cool. So now I've got my prompt finished. We're just going to add this to our workflow. I'm going to jam this into Claude. And it's going to go through this progression where it understands the role that we've assigned it. It's going to pick up the Directus schema. And now it knows the available blocks that it can use to build a page for us, right? So it is going to go through this whole progression of creating a page. So we could see the page that it has created here. No content in that yet, right? So it's actually going through and systematically creating each one of these individual blocks for the page. I can now go away, have a coffee, walk the dog, come back in just a minute here and have a fully scaffolded out landing page for me to customize and tweak and get ready to publish. All right, got to get that product placement in there. So we can see this thing is working through, and obviously, like the benefit here again, like it knows your Directus schema, and so you can get access to this CMS setup that we've got. I'll just go to the website here while we're waiting on this to do its thing. Directus.io. If you're a developer, you can pull this down. If you're not a developer, just click Get Started Free, and you can actually get this exact template. But if you are not operating with this exact template, right, it pulls that schema and data model from your instance, so it knows exactly what the fields that you have are and what belongs in that content. All right, so hopefully this thing will get finished in just one moment. Let's take a look at some of the questions. Do we have any? Mr. Matt, do we have any major questions while we're waiting on our friend to do his work here?
No, we got some good ones. Yeah, keep the questions and stuff coming in. We'll try to get most of them at the end. But yeah, I was just responding to Kent, who's got a deadline tomorrow to convince his boss to create new blocks. So Kent, if you need like a doctor's note, we'll go ahead and handle that for you. Juan had a good point about, you know, the user experience is really nice, but what about the time it takes for a large inventory, right? Like lots of files, a lot of images when you're going through and like doing the organization and that sort of thing. Does it scale up if needed? I think, you know, it depends on the LLM or the model you're using. Obviously, like the new ones, like the deep thinking ones, will take a lot longer. But on your, you know, early stuff, it could be quicker.
Yeah, it's certainly like you could, you know, like Claude Haiku, I think is like their fastest model. I believe it has vision. Don't quote me on that. It just basically depends on the actual model that you're working with. You know, I'm using like the latest and greatest from Claude here because I'm not only asking it to publish the content, I'm asking it to, you know, do some massaging and actually help prepare the content in our voice. And I found that Claude Sonnet is just hands down like the best writer for that. Again, this is the MCP server is just a protocol for connecting to different AI tools, and Claude Desktop is just the use case we're featuring here. But you could certainly connect to Cursor or Raycast or any other tools that support this protocol.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like it has done the work here, and we've got our landing page ready to go. So let's just open this thing up. We'll take a look. We can see we've got a full landing page here. I'm just going to open this up in the visual editor. And now we can go through this thing and see that, hey, this has got everything scaffolded out for us. You know, really nicely, right? And I'm in a position now where I can go back in and just quickly edit whatever I need here. Hit save. You see that change and update.
I can't stress like how much of a game changer this is. Like, you know, it typically takes days just for the scaffolding, and there's like, you know, writer's block, and you just don't know what blocks to put. And this one is just like, bam, like it's all there. And then when you combine it with the visual editing and hand it off to the content team, it's
again collaboration, right? So using the AI tools, also being able to visually edit and quickly tweak that. You know, this is not about completely eliminating. It is about streamlining, about taking the stress out of it, about getting something that I can then take and improve. The last but not least workflow that I want to show here is publishing and automations. So I love this meme, but picture automated AI agents, in this case Claude, that are calling automated workflows that you have set up inside Directus. So Directus supports low code, no code automations, depending on what you're trying to do. The feature is called flows. So it is a visual automation builder, and I could do complex stuff. I could do really simple stuff. In this case, let's take a look, and hey, this looks great. This looks great. Change it to published, and then publish the entire site using flows. All right. And just say like best practices here. Obviously, like the better you prompts that you have, like what you're putting in, the better results you're getting out. And I'm basically playing dumb here a bit and giving it like simple instructions, but obviously the more detailed you can be, the better the results. So what's happening here, right? It is updated the status of this page and added the current date and timestamp for me. Page is now published. But the next step here, you can see that it is reading through the flows. It has found a flow called publish website. and it's actually triggered this flow. So if I go over to our Vercel account, you can see that this is actually going through and rebuilding the site. And in 54 seconds, this content will be live on the main site.
Wow.
And Vercel trying to get the dough there, upgrade to Pro. All right, so that is the demo portion of this thing. We have basically speed ran this thing, I think. I hope it is just like a good showcase of what's available through the Content MCP. There are like more tools than this that are available. One of it, like, I hope this serves as inspiration to you all of what you can actually do with this thing. And I can't wait to see the workflows that everybody cooks up for the MCP. Definitely share with us. Keep the feedback coming. That's all I've got, man. Matt,
That's awesome.
Back to you.
No, I love watching it every time. Cool. I'm just kind of running through some of the comments. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of questions around kind of the costs credit situation when you start using like LLMs with yourself, and especially if you give access to like the marketing team, for instance, who tend to run through a lot of credits. Not speaking from personal experience, but anything on that just like, in terms of maybe that landing page, right? Like how many credits or whatever the cost could be for that.
So as far as the credits, like the demo that I've got here is using, like, I've got a paid subscription to Claude Desktop. So I'm sure somebody at Anthropic is maybe screaming about, especially all the testing I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Especially on some of the top tier models, but that's included in the subscription. Depending on which models you're using, it's not really much different than using these via API or whatever. Like, there's always a balance that you try to strike between how effective it is and how much you're actually spending. And the same balance here. I don't see any like specific stuff that you wouldn't encounter using AI in the same fashion.
Yeah, I think we've never run into any credits issues with this stuff. But actually, we've been talking with Sentry, if you're familiar, who's actually piloting. They've got a beta out, I think, of it's like an LLM monitoring. So they can track like how many credits are being used. So it could be a good thing to test with this. We're currently talking to them about like a potential, co workshop for something on that. So we'll definitely keep everyone posted if that moves forward. But that could be a great thing to pair with this, so you're not going bananas with your credits. Cool.
So one other question I saw here: does the MCP support having multiple Directus environments? Like one instance of the MCP does not support multiple environments at this point, right? But there's nothing stopping you from potentially, and I'm not sure that I've actually tested this, to be honest, but I don't think there's anything stopping you from trying this out where I could say, hey, this is Directus non-prod, something like this, and creating multiple instances of the server. I just worry about it getting confused depending on like the model and the tool that you're using. So try it out, report back, see what you come up with. Best advice I could give.
Paul, shout out Ridiculous Engineering. How's it going, Paul? Good to see you. This is actually a great idea about some sort of exchange, MCP kind of workflows, prompts, marketplace. What do you think, Brian?
I would love to see that. One thing that we're going to do is like all this, like the slide deck, this Fig Jam, like all this, we're going to send to everybody who's registered for this event. We'll make sure you get access to that. all the prompts that I've used today, we'll include those. For now, I would say we're just going to direct those to the community. So if you haven't already, sign up for our community. It's just community.directus.io. We've got an MCP server thread. Maybe we start a thread on MCP workflows and prompts so that we could share and prosper together. Everybody take advantage of AI, right?
I'm just dropping that here. So this you can get access to it on our new community platform here, right? You were just saying we've got it linked.
Amazing. Yep.
Cool.
What else do we have?
There you go. Nice little shout out. No explosion. 4 demos in one.
Obviously,
smoothly.
I love it, man. Obviously, George has been on some of my other demos before, where I've got like multiple Docker containers running, like 3 different Nuxt applications, and this is a good one. Thank you, appreciate you, George. What else? I see this one's from Jonathan, but it is Jonathan's on our team, the Magic Man. But I probably in response to another question, the current MCP release. Again, if we just take a look, MCP. I'll share my screen again. This is the actual repository for it. It just got like a list of tools somewhere on here where we can just quickly run through these things. Like we can read the current user information, read collections, schema, create items, update items, read files, import files. So all this to say, like all the admin functions that are available through the Directus API, we didn't make available in this release. We wanted to make this one very focused on working with content inside your Directus instance. And, Directus has got robust permissions so that, a content editor who doesn't have access to collection A can't do that through the MCP. But also one of the concerns with production data is security, not blowing up an instance, not accidentally dropping a table from the database and losing 150 pieces of content or 3,000 pieces of content. So we didn't include those more destructive tools in this release for that very reason. Now, we are exploring what that looks like in future releases and how to add some more of those powerful tools, especially if you're, let's say, building a new instance for a client or for an internal team of, maybe modeling out some of your schema for you, like creating relationships, configuring permissions, all that stuff that is necessary, but maybe not like the best use of your time to a point and click and set all these things up.
Nice. Here's one.
I killed it. Sorry. I was trying to
create collections on the data.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. That's the exact question. Yeah. So right now, no, it cannot create collections at this point.
Damn. All right. Just kind of scrolling through.
Anything else?
Soft deletes would be great.
Soft deletes would be great. Yes. And that is like a per collection setting inside your Directus CMS where you can archive. I don't think I've got that set up on this demo instance, but it's totally doable.
Cool.
Any other final questions we need to answer?
I think there was one earlier about, can this MCP be used to create extensions or kind of start to kind of expanding the use case out of just like kind of the rudimentary content stuff?
Yeah. So it certainly, again, like looking at a future release where we have some more available tools like a builder MCP, if we're calling this content MCP, don't hold me to any of those things. Still experimenting with a lot of that. There's a lot of promise, I will say that. But this is, again, this is mostly focused on content teams. Depending on what content you've got in Directus, there's a lot of possibilities there. But if you're a developer working with Directus, you're setting up Directus for clients, just stay tuned. We've got some fun stuff coming for you, I promise.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we can wrap up early. I do want to pull up one thing. If you could just pull up that photo, like the image asset manager from that Directus instance, if you've got quick access.
So the actual Directus instance?
Yeah, within the Directus instance. And just make that penguin picture bigger. Bam. All right. Michael said that's one judgmental penguin, and like I just glimpsed at it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's the most judgmental penguin I've ever seen." So, yeah, just wanted to call that out. Ended on a high note, you know.
Yeah. All right, guys. Matt, thanks for putting together this event, doing the outline. For everybody in the audience, thanks for attending. Again, I run with this thing, build cool stuff. Make sure you share with us. Like everything that we build is 100% for you guys. Like we want to solve real problems with these tools and not automate 10% of the U.S. labor force. Again, to get access to this, you can go to directus.io/docs. There's an AI section in our documentation. Again, we'll send out links to all this. It will give you installation instructions. There's videos of me walking you through that installation process. You'll be freaking tired of my voice by the time you're through. But then we also have just sample workflows that we showed today. And information about the other configurations, like setting up the prompt system and all the other goodies that are in here. And if you want the simple CMS template, again, get started free. Choose the CMS template when you go through the cloud creation process. Or if you want that locally, just copy this command, run that, and you'll be up and running in less than 5 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, and like Brian mentioned, we'll be sending out the attendee resource kit with links to the repo, community.directus.io, and everything else you need to really get started on this today. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it. And I love that idea of a marketplace potentially. So we'll definitely have chats about that. But yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate the time today.
We'll catch you on the next one.